Welcome everyone. Recently I have reviewed one of my best blind buys by the house of Fragonard called Eau du Seducteur. And when I purchased that fragrance, they sent me a couple of more samples. But one of the samples was from a specific line which I want to discuss about today. The line is called Les Naturelles. Basically, the fragrances are created to represent a specific note and to smell more natural. I did receive a single fragrance, a single sample from this line, but fortunately we have a store close by which has this line from Fragonard, and I was able to actually try a couple more from this line. More exactly, I'm going to talk about patchouli, cedar, vetiver and lavande. First of all, I want to show you that their samples come in a strange way. They're not your usual 1 ml sample, 1 ml flask. Now they come as a napkin, looking and feeling like the napkins you use to clean your sunglasses. So in order for you to test the fragrance, you just don't rip off the packaging and just smell it from the packaging like this. So what you want to do is take it off. I mean, this is how I did it, to give it a full wearing, and you wipe yourself. Okay, so this one, the one that I just applied, is called patchouli. It's the only one that I received from this line. And you also have the notes on the back of the package. And the notes for patchouli are the following: petit grain, ginger, bitter orange, patchouli, caraway, rose, cedarwood, tonka bean and musk. When you're going to look for Fragonard fragrances, if you want to check out the notes and you want to find out the exact notes, I would recommend checking them on their official website, because Fragrantica doesn't list them completely, doesn't list all the notes. For example, the fragrance called vetiver doesn't have the vetiver note listed, and it does have vetiver. Now, of course, reading you the notes will not give you an exact idea of how the fragrance smells. It's nice to know the notes, but what am I getting exactly from this fragrance is the following. At the beginning of the fragrance, you're definitely going to get patchouli, but you're not going to get like a heavy dose and the other notes are way back in the background. No, you're going to get patchouli, but you're also going to get immediately tonka bean, lots of tonka bean and musk. You're also going to get some spices, and you're also going to get some cedar. The fragrance is pretty well balanced. I wouldn't say it's either fresh or sweet or woodsy, but it tends to be more of a warm scent, even though the patchouli creates this fresh, spicy, woody smell. I mean, patchouli in general has this effect on fragrances. The fragrance is unisex as the rest of them from this line, but this one, patchouli, I would say it's more for male. And to give you a better understanding of how this one smells, after a couple of minutes, it got me thinking of another fragrance from Fragonard, the one that I just reviewed, Eau du Seducteur. It is in the same category, and even more. As the fragrance dries down more, it becomes similar, but not a clone. It becomes similar to this one, to Zeno by David. It's in the same genre, more toned down version of Zeno, because the performance is okay. It is not that the fragrance doesn't last long, it is just not loud as Zeno, for example, which is, for the price, it is a very loud fragrance. Now, is it worth buying patchouli? Maybe in some rare cases. There are people who prefer fragrances that are not that loud. Now the others, I have them on paper. I have smelled the opening, I have it in my mind, so I'm just gonna talk free about the rest of the scents. because they are not so complicated. Actually, they smell similar to more popular fragrances. Of course, this is going to be a fragrance based on lavender. And yes, you're going to get a very powerful lavender smell, but not overwhelming. It's going to be a fresh one, which lavender is supposed to do is to create a fresh smell. But as the fragrance dries down, some other notes are starting to come. So the notes are the following: myrtle, absinthe, and clover. We have in the mid notes, we have lavender, of course, jasmine, and gentian. I don't know what that is. And base notes, we have rosewood, musk, and iris. Even though the fragrance seems to have some weird notes, seems to be offering more than just lavender, this specific fragrance is very focused on lavender, and as the fragrance is going to dry down, it will become more soapy. And this is how the fragrance is going to be perceived mostly, as a soapy, fresh, clean smell. And it's a nice one. I mean, this is what it's supposed to do. But none of these fragrances from this line is going to be overwhelming with the note they are trying to focus on. For example, I remember trying some Molinard fragrances, and those fragrances have also names after specific notes. For example, vanilla, patchouli. But I remember smelling them, and they were quite heavy on that single and specific note. These are more balanced, easy to wear, comfortable scents. Now the next fragrance is called Cedar, and this one got me hyped, but also was a bit of a letdown, because in the beginning when I smelled it, it smells very clean, very clean cedar smell, very nice. It almost got me thinking of Creed Aventus. As the fragrance dries down, it becomes more and more similar, clone-like similar to Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue for women. The notes for Cedar are the following: top notes lemon, mandarin, and sage. Heart notes atlas, cedarwood, cinnamon, and green tea. Base notes musk and ambergris. This fragrance, again, when I first smelled it, I thought it's going to be a hit, and it is a hit. The only disappointment and the only letdown that I had was that it smelled more and more similar to light blue. But it is not a bad thing. It is just that, you see, I don't like when I see houses, big houses like Fragonard, creating clones. But the fragrance is very good. Actually, it didn't get me the feeling that I was wearing a female fragrance. It was actually very unisex, and it is definitely a fragrance which I do recommend trying. Very safe fragrance. Basically, if you like light blue for females, if you are a man like me and you always wanted to wear it, here's the chance. The other fragrance that I tried was Vetiver, and this fragrance starts again like the rest of the fragrances from the line. They start with that single specific note, more powerful than the rest, but as the fragrance dries down, that note tones down and it becomes more balanced, while still keeping that note highlighted. This fragrance has the note of vetiver highlighted, and of course in the beginning it will have that earthy herbal smell that vetiver usually creates, also fresh. It's very, very similar to Terre d'Hermès. I don't know now, maybe for some of you this sounds as something good, clones that are not that expensive, coming from a niche house, and the performance on each of them is okay. Some of them are even better. For example, Cedar was actually very good, the one that I liked the most. Now, do I recommend these fragrances? Yes and no. Mostly yes, if you don't have the habit that I do, and it's mostly because I'm doing YouTube and I did so many videos on clones where I smell a fragrance and I instantly think of another. If you just buying the fragrances for what they are, then yes, go for them because they are good. They are natural smelling, they are affordable, they are from the house of Fragonard, and they have good performance. But again, if you are looking for clones, I don't think this is the house to go for. If you're looking for clones, there are other companies that are focused on this specific thing and they're probably doing a better job at cloning. But if you want fragrances that are similar to those fragrances but have the Fragonard touch, then yes, you could go for these fragrances. But videos about Fragonard will not end here because, as you see, I do have more samples which are not from the same line, so I will keep doing videos about this house because I do enjoy it and I will probably in the future buy more from them. Let me also know what's your opinion on this specific line. I know some of you recommended some of these fragrances. I do remember a comment telling me about patchouli to try it. I did try it, so you see, I do try fragrances that you guys recommend. I'm not just ignoring the comments. Until the next video, keep smelling great.